Hi y'all, my name is Chris Irwin and I'm going to teach you today how to make your own amazing super salves if you have jacked up skin. I do. My palms, and you can probably see them right now, though I've applied some of the salve I'm going to teach you to make, were starting in high school. It'd get so bad that I could squeeze it sometimes and blood would come out. And I've tried everything, dermatologists, all their various pharmaceutical skin salves, everything. And finally it got down to me going to co-ops and health food stores, and I'd get some beeswax based salves that would help a bit. But if you have jacked up skin, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes they have alcohol in them and they burn like hell. Or they'll have propylene glycol in them, which from my working on cars I think is radiator fluid, which now I'm working on my Ford, I tend not to want to get on my skin. I also, in high school, heard this crazy theory that your skin is a semi-permeable membrane. And later in a dietary theory called macrobiotics, I read that they estimate that about half of what you put on your skin ends up in your bloodstream. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but about 2 years ago I got really desperate. Because those little containers, often they only have a few basic ingredients. They're not, just one oil. And it just wasn't working for me anymore. It was too expensive, and I realized, because I used to be a beekeeper, that I had wax and I had olive oil. So I began blending olive oil and beeswax to make my own salve for my skin. And I also was growing aloe, so I began putting aloe in it. And then from back in the day where I used to do massage work, I knew that almond oil was good for your skin, and I researched it and found that castor oil, almond oil, vitamin E oil, all these oils are supposed to be good for your skin. So I began raiding our cheap food places like Big Lots and elsewhere, and dollar stores where sometimes I'd find and collecting this supply of oils. And then I fell back also to this idea that your skin is a semi-permeable membrane. So I began adding plants that were also good, that I knew were good for your immune system. Echinacea, St. John's wort, the red flowering tops of red clover, and plants that were good for your skin that I could wildcraft. Chickweed, plantain, rabbit tobacco. I had raw echinacea, and I blended this all together and I made a salve. And for those of you that have jacked up skin, you'll know how I'm describing this. It was instant relief. Sometimes, you've got a skin condition and it can feel like your skin's at war with you. Or that it's hard to describe if you haven't dealt with it. If you have, you know what I'm talking about. And what I'm about to show you is how to gain instant relief. How to make your own salves that you can get if you look around and wildcraft properly, that are 50 times better than any yuppie stuff you're going to buy at a health food store. I'm going to make a salve and I'm going to blend approximately 6 different oils. And then I wildcrafted a bunch of plants. I usually do this about once every 2 years. And I'm going to show you step by step how you can do this yourself. Because it's each one teach one. I'm not trying to sell these things. I already have a job. And if I can bring relief to just like one other person that has skin like me, then I'm happy making this video and showing you how to do it. I'm doing it for my godchild as well because she's used it and wanted to know how to make it. I figured if I'm going to show her on YouTube, I might as well show everybody. So consider it a gift and a small blow, hopefully, against the pharmaceutical industry that sells their, it has yellow dye number 5, red, all those chemicals they put into it. They want you to put on your skin to gain some relief for pain. Well, I'm going to show you how you can do it yourself. You can do it much better, get a lot more materials for your skin. It works on your lips, it works on sunburn, but also eczema, serious ass eczema. And I created this out of pure desperation. I have a background in botany. I'm a plant geek. I have taken many botany classes. I've studied plants and herbs constantly, ranging from the Barefoot Doctor to basically every book I could get my hands on. And through that and my knowledge of oils, I've created something that works really well, and I hope helps you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get into the process, and I'm going to show you on the table step by step. And if you ever need to know how to do this, if you're having a problem with a step, feel free to email or call. I'll try to leave an address somewhere in the video. And I wish you luck. and I think you're going to be really surprised. And remember, no matter how, this is a complex procedure that I'm doing, but it can just be olive oil and beeswax. That's it. That's it. And you can get instant relief for yourself with absolutely no additives, nothing else on your skin but what you need to help you with the pain. All right, let's get to it. First of all, you want to double boil everything. You don't want to make the oils carcinogenic, which you can, and also the oils are flammable if you get them hot enough, and it's easy to ruin a batch. And I have basically 2 double boilers here. You can see I'll back out here. And then I have my ingredients for what I'm making. And what you can see, I've got shea butter, vitamin E, olive oil, jojoba, castor oil, coconut oil, cocoa oil, and almond oil. I've got this crazy theory that I learned in high school that your skin is a semi-permeable membrane. So I'm not only using things like chamomile and lavender that are good for your skin, but Paul d'Arco and echinacea that is good for your immune system. Raw plants, I've got plantain, mullein, raw echinacea, raw aloe, and some shiitakes. And then to experiment, I'm going to add a little bit of baking soda to get the pH right. So in terms of the ingredients, lavender, German chamomile, echinacea, more echinacea, and that's Paul d'Arco. It's the inner bark. And then I've got some baking soda that I'm going to maybe put a tablespoon in to adjust the pH, and shea butter. And all of this I've kind of gotten at Big Lots, and I've acquired it over time. Vitamin E. I've got olive oil. I'm putting cocoa butter, which actually smells like chocolate. Jojoba oil. Almond oil. Castor oil. And coconut oil. Now remember, you can do this with just olive oil. And then for the plants, I've got shiitakes, plantains, which are good for your skin. You can read that online in medicinal catalogs. Mullein, also known as rabbit tobacco. And this is fresh echinacea that I picked from my garden. And of course, aloe. And they say your skin is a semi-permeable membrane. And actually in macrobiotics, they say up to 50% of what you put on your skin ends up in your bloodstream. So what I'm going to make and show you all how to make is basically 2 years worth of salve that is just amazingly kick-ass. It costs you probably less than what you're paying for it when you get the cheap stuff with only like 2 oils and 2 ingredients that will blow your mind how good it is. So I'm going to go through it step by step. The first step I'm going to do is take the oils out of this and go ahead and get them joined and double boiling. And one of the things you're going to find in some of the oils, they're kind of they stiffen, they saponify. So what I'll do is I'll just take one of these and I'll put it in warm water to get it to start getting ready to come out. So it'll just pour right out. So I'm going to do that step right now. I'm going to take these oils and put them in here. This is some of the fun parts, so I'll record it as well. This is the almond oil. Yeah. Making your own medicine. No alcohol whatsoever. That's the other thing. Alcohol burns. Why? I guess they add it just because it's a cheap ingredient to add to salves. But it sucks on your hands. All the oils I'm using are organic. You can pick them up relatively cheaply, especially online. And again, I want to remind you, you can do this just with olive oil. I'm just a bit of a freak, and I like making. This is just amazing. You can't buy what I'm about to show you how to make. And this is my cheap trick for getting the oils to desaponify, so I can just pour them in. So if your oils are solid, like this shea butter, just boil it a little bit and it'll pop right out. It's the coconut oil and the shea butter right now that I'm getting ready to put in. And here's where we're at with supplies. You can see we're probably, we're creeping up there in terms of volume. So what I'm doing now is I'm chopping up the aloe and the echinacea and all the plants and putting them in the oil that I've got steeping right now. What I like to do is actually do this in a smaller quality of oil and heat it up just a little bit more and then strain it basically like you would strain if you were making tea. Same principle. Because I don't like to get the oils too hot, because above a certain temperature they become carcinogenic, and not to mention it's flammable. So this is what's about to go in to the raw oil. So I've got all the plants chopped up and all the oils have been put in and are heating, and this is what it looks like with the oils and stuff. I need to stir it, but right now I've just got the chamomile and the lavender and those raw herbs and plants that I'm going to boil basically like a tea for probably 10-15 minutes, and not at a terrible high heat. I'm just going to basically double boil it. I might raise it a little bit with the eye on the side. And yeah, I'm basically making a tea of these immune system stimulants and the plants that are good for your skin, combined with, I believe, 5 to 6 decent types of oils. And in the end, I'm going to add a little bit of baking soda to adjust the pH. Yeah, look at that herbal goodness. So I'm getting the oil just hot enough to start steeping this out. And generally I like to wait till the greens of the herb are broken down, kind of like a spinach or something you're about to eat. And I'll go back and forth. I'll get it up a little bit in temperature, and then I'll put it back in the double boiler and go back and forth. Take your time with this part of the process. You know, I'll heat it for like 20 minutes. I want to get all the goodness out of it I can, out of all these wild-crafted. By the way, I got the fresh plants wild-crafted. I wish I could have found chickweed. That's another good one that I like for my skin. And take your time with this part of the process. This is the good part. Just steep all that herbal goodness out of this. And this is like all those different oils. And what I'll do is I'll let it cool and then strain it through a t-shirt or a cheesecloth to get all the oil and take out the particulates, so to speak. And I've got a lot of different screens for doing that part of the operation. This, my friends, if you have jacked up skin, this is your medicine. This will work better than any of the prescription stuff that I've tried on my palms. I've seen dermatologists. Learning how to make this was an act of desperation. And the fact that I'm a botany geek and a plant geek and know a bit about oils all came together. And what I've done is I'll test it on myself. You'll take a small sample of the product, and as you add it, and you'll quick cool it to see what the consistency is, to see if you've gotten it thick enough. And then I'll apply it to my skin as I go. And I ran out of my supply. That's why I'm making this new batch. And we'll know as I go, like how it's doing, if I need to lower the pH. But what I want is something as neutral as possible that doesn't burn at all, that just brings me instant relief. And this is it. So till the next step, my friends. Okay, I've reached that all critical point where I'm going to pour the salve into 3 screens. This is low tech, but I've got just a regular mesh screen and then a clean shirt. And beneath that I have an industrial funnel that I got. It's a big grease funnel, and into the pot that it's going to end up in. So I'll pour this into that to get all the, the herbs and plants and everything out before I add the wax, the final step. So this is actually an important step, because I'm taking the solution and I'm going to wring it out and get every bit of plant goodness out of it. So I'll wring it out till it's almost completely dry, so I get all the oil and all the medicinal properties I'm trying to get out of the plant. Here you go. This is the almost product. This is just all those oils and that herb. You can see the darkness and the richness of it now. This is before I add the beeswax. And I'm up to about half a gallon. I got about half a gallon of like super oils and herbs and plants all invested in this liquid. Now I go to the final step where I grate in the beeswax. And this is the final step. This is beeswax that came from my own hives. And you can tell that dark layer. When it was liquid, it was warm. When I poured it into a bowl, the royal jelly and the propolis settled on the bottom. So I'm not only just using a big block of wax, and this is what's going to make it stiff. And I'll grate it and chop it and mix it into the oil. And when I let it cool down, see that black stuff? That's royal jelly, all that goodness. Mixed with those 7 oils. It's organic. It came from my own hives, my own beehives. But you can get beeswax. And don't be skimpy with it. Use a lot. Or just see if you got the right consistency. Take a spoonful, put it in the refrigerator, and then it'll get hard. You can see how stiff your salve has gotten. Okay, here we have product, and this is important. You check it out, and the consistency isn't bad. That's kind of the consistency you get from the stuff you buy in the store. The problem is, I found through experimentation, is it tends to evaporate off your skin. Even really super fine oils like this, you know, 15-20 minutes you'll find yourself having to reapply this, and that's acceptable, I guess, for a lot of the store-bought stuff. But I want a second skin. I want something that I apply that stays on for hours. And for that, I'm going to need a stiffer base than that. And one of the cool things that you can do while you're at this process is you can heat and reheat it. So what I'll do is I'll cool it. And you can actually, if you like get wildcraft, a different herb or plant you want in it, you can reheat the oil, add it, strain it, and do that. And so what I need is I need more wax in this. And the consistency I'm after, something that like you almost have to scrape your nail to get it out, but then when you apply it to your skin, it starts to gel a bit. Your body temperature should raise it. So to do this, I've gotten this, more beeswax. I'm probably going to add half of this to this and see how stiff it is that way. And what you do is you dip a spoon in the liquid and put it in your freezer for a few minutes till it gets into basically room temperature. And then you can see if it's the correct stiffness. So that's my next steps. I'm going to shiv off about half this block, reheat this in my double boiler, and get it to the appropriate stiffness. So I've added about half a block to this, and this is a really important step. You want to get, and if you get it too stiff, you can add a little bit more oil to thin it out, but it's really hard to get too stiff. You know, if you want something that's going to last on your skin for a while, this is, you want a lot of wax in it. So I'll let this boil down and then cool off and see if I need to add another brick. After that, it's just a matter of putting it in containers and storing it. And this is about a 2-year supply, me using it every day, applying it to my hands, and it's instant relief. Aloe, shea butter, vitamin E liquid, olive oil, jojoba, castor, coconut oil, cocoa oil, almond oil, Paul d'Arco, echinacea, chamomile, lavender, and then raw plantain, mullein, raw echinacea, raw aloe, and just a shiitake mushroom in there for fun. All right, we're ready to go. I made 2 previous tests. I tried this, and it's got kind of that petroleum jelly type consistency that I hate. I added more wax. That got a little closer at room temperature. That's pretty stiff. Then I added a lot more wax. What I'll do is I'll use this to take the liquid and put it in these containers. Then I'll have a year's worth supply. Y'all have a good day. Thank you very much. Alright, so here we go, final product. We got 2-quart mason jars filled. I'll put those in the freezer, and when I need to, I'll double boil them to heat it up and pour it into more jars. I think I got enough jars here to last me for a good long time. A couple larger containers. Alright, so that's your end product. and your skin will thank you. So will I. Have a good evening.